Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Cowboys Takeover. I'm your host, Jason Kent. With me, as always, Mr. Aaron James. Aaron, how you doing so far this week?
So far this week, I'm doing pretty good, man. Starting to get wrap up some year-end stuff at work, so I can get into the official Christmas, New Year's mode. How about you?
Pretty much the same. It's got a little warm again, but apparently I heard they're projecting snow for Saturday, so I'm excited. I hope we can get maybe 3 feet, but that's just me. I don't think everybody else here would enjoy that. But I'd want to go out and play in it still. You know, we got some sleds last winter, got some gloves, so I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
I'm stoked. I'm excited because next week, I'm gonna have a probably leave early Tuesday. We got off Wednesday. I can't. Christmas is always my favorite holiday. Like even as a kid, even when yeah, even when me and Santa, I always loved Santa. Santa
mhm.
always loved me. Always bought me great stuff, and Santa loves the kids. So it's always fun and seeing their joy, knowing it's bad. They're excited. So it's a good time. It's you always see outside. They're excited tomorrow night. Santa's coming. So it's always a good time of year.
Nice, nice. Yeah, you got the food, you got the weather, you got the football, you got even basketball now on Christmas Day.
Oh yeah, basketball is a big thing now. Christmas. They have all the Christmas Day games. I know. I think they have a game on this year, Christmas Day. Though I think aren't they doing a Christmas Day game this year? Yeah, on Netflix it is. I think. um, which is obnoxious, but that's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
But hey, the real reason we're here, bud. Listen, man, 2 weeks ago, if we could have pulled out a victory
Mhm.
against Cincinnati, man, that game, it was a tie changer. And the one thing I look at when I kind of I was sitting here today and I was thinking because we've really been talking a lot about tanking and kind of giving up. Um, But the one thing I got to do respect, Jerry Jones coming out, and even though I did rip him, I looking at it now, having some time to think on it, ripped him for not really wanting to put Trey Lance in, saying Cooper Rush does give him the best opportunity to win. Um, good for him for wanting to still go out and win and understanding, like, hey, listen, a lot of teams, a lot of owners, a lot of ownership groups would have just said, let's go tank. Let's maybe not put the best like Daniel Jones. I get maybe, there's a lot of money invested in him, but the Giants are like, well, listen, we don't want you. You get hurt, stuff happens, all that we're paying you. It's better for us to just go lose games. They get rid of him.
Mhm.
Cooper Rush, while he's not a great quarterback, you're sticking with him. So that game against Cincinnati really hurts. But man, they look good last week. Rico, another huge game, big game from Rico, and we kind of both expected it. But like you said, man, it really seems like that 18 carries, he starts getting more than that. Now he was just gashing them all game, but
Mhm.
when he's had about 18 to 20 carries, anything more than 18 this year, he's been really looking good. And that set stuff open because getting that running game going, Cooper Rush had a lot of open receivers. He didn't he had guys to throw to, 3 touchdowns, didn't really need to do a lot of it because Rico was doing the job. How are you feeling with that offense? Kind of maybe not saying, hey, we know we're not doing anything this year, but Rico could be a guy going forward that you may not have to go after a running back. He's looked really good the last few weeks when they're really starting to give him touches.
Yeah, no, he's looked really good, and he's in that mid-end season form I anticipated him being. He showed some really good flashes last year. Um, but Mike McCarthy said at the press conference that his goal with Dowdle is that he work himself to become a three down back. Um, and I feel like that's the Pollard syndrome again, where we were excited, Pollard was going to get more touches, but then we started to see like, man, this guy is better with those fresh legs, coming in, touching the ball, um, as like a meaningful second round back, behind Zeke, where we saw a lot of the Pollard damage.
Okay.
Um, and so while I'm happy for Rico, I love his production. I don't think, similar to Pollard, like I don't think he has the body type to be a third down back all season. I think maybe you have some games where he's gonna let him eat and let him take tempo of a game. I'd be okay with that, but I still think we should be aggressive in thinking bringing in a big number two.
So that's where when my thought isn't so much not bringing somebody else in, because I think you're right. I think we should. I really love what Detroit's done with Gibbs and
Yeah.
Montgomery. Even though Montgomery's out now, man, I really love what they've done. And looking at it, Dallas needs to do something similar, because it really, like you said, when they had Zeke and Pollard, they were really going. Pollard really was looking good in those second half, and especially down the stretch. So my thought is, maybe not bring in, a top tier running back, maybe not have to, because I know there's talks about getting Genty or
Mhm.
whatever, the kid from Boise State. There's talks. So my thought was, you don't have to go get a guy like that. You can bring in maybe a later round draft pick, a second, third round guy that falls, or like that mid tier running back. Like Montgomery's nobody expected him to be the super stud, but now you got him and you got Gibbs. Now Montgomery, you're taking the off of both of them. So I think if you get somebody like that mid-tier guy, kind of like a Pollard was, but maybe a bigger back to complement what Rico can do, because Rico is a little bit more. Would you have any qualms with giving Turpin 6 to 8 carries a game? He looked really good last week, and his 2 carries in the backfield. And I'm talking just you go, it's sweeps, it's tosses,
Mhm.
that type of thing. I'm not opposed to because to me that opens. And now if he's in the backfield, you have to worry about the pass.
Yeah.
I would like to convert Turpin to like a running back, give him those, if on a passing down or jet sweep downs, those type of plays, man. I think he would be electric back there.
I'm okay with that simply because our struggle this year is just getting 4 eyes removed from CD Lamb,
Yeah.
right? Because he's just been, if you lock him down, make us one dimensional, or force us to win at another position, that's really been our downfall and our struggle this year, especially with Cooks out a majority of the season. So yeah, I'm all for changing it up. And I was trying to think of who the the thumper was that ran with Chris Johnson on the Titans. Remember Chris Johnson, and I think his last name was White.
No. Well, yeah, Lendell White. He
Lindell
came in a
White.
little bit, but he wasn't like that. He was big time in college when him and Reggie Bush were monsters in college.
Yeah.
He was there. You did think that a guy like that though, he was a later round pick. I think he was a little bit second, third round pick. A
Hmm.
guy like that wouldn't be a bad a LaMichael James out of Oregon, who was the real big thumper. Peyton Hillis. That
Peyton.
type of running back would be a great fit for Dallas, because Zeke did so well. You can get the power run game. If you can get
And
the
in
guy
the
that
red
can
zone.
block too,
Yeah.
like a good blocker like Zeke was, man. Listen, I would like to see Lepke, because he every time I felt like early in the season when they were giving him opportunities, while they weren't a lot, he was making the most of them and making some big plays. So I'd like to see him get a little bit more of an opportunity too. Maybe to give him and see if he can be that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that would also help translate in the red zone. Zeke is just not himself in the red zone or any degree really. But and I like what you were saying with the second or even third round pick, because the high draft picks still get a pretty good paycheck, and I think you got to be mindful of again how much you want to allocate to that running back
Yeah.
position if you're going to use a high draft pick. So it's probably better to go with almost best available on either side of the line to me, or potentially a linebacker, because who knows if we're going to be able to keep Kendricks, and um, if he loses another quarter step at his age.
Yeah, especially with Overshow now 2 years in a row.
Mhm.
I do think linebacker is probably your biggest need. Um, Offensive line, you have a lot of injuries, so you're not sure. I guess it's tough to judge those guys right now. But I do think middle linebacker is probably your most pressing need going into the draft. But going into this week, listen, Dallas has been playing hot. And they get a team on Sunday Night Football. We do play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who are in the race for a playoff spot. They are 8-6, so they're a good team. They're led by Baker Mayfield. They have, to me, I think, one of the most underrated receivers probably in the history of football. And I don't think that's an understatement at all, because you never hear Mike Evans talk. And this
Mhm.
is a dude who's just since he's come in this league, has just been 1,000-yard machine, just dominating like not many receivers in the game have done, like not many even Hall of Famers have done. So
Yeah.
to me, I think it's a crime. The dude, I think, will finish his career as a top 5 receiver. If I'm being truly honest with you, he's that good.
Mhm.
So to me, when you look at this week, they're leading the division by a game. They got to be excited. Baker Mayfield, I think he's 4th in the league in passing yards. He's 3rd in passing touchdowns. And the big news this week coming out, Diggs is now done for the season. So it's really been a hit after hit for Dallas this year. So to me, man, those keys for Tampa, I really think it's turnovers. I think it's just, Baker can't go just slinging it against this Dallas team who can still do it.
Mhm.
If they can get Rico going, they make some big plays. Micah looks like he's back. He could still make a difference. So the key to me for Tampa is just don't turn the ball over. Don't be dumb. Let Mike Evans eat. He's 6'5". I don't know if there's many teams that are going to stop him. I don't know who on Dallas. You're going to have to double cover the guy. But that's really it. Just if Baker doesn't turn the ball over, that to me, it's going to be an easy victory for Tampa if Baker doesn't turn it over, in my opinion, because they're just too good. I don't know. They got two running backs. Baker's is a playmaker, and I basically just gushed all over Mike Evans because I do think he really is, and he's one
Yeah.
of those guys that's a game changer. So if Baker just protects the ball, they're going to win pretty easily, in my opinion.
I mean, they've been playing some pretty good football. Their probably most impressive win was pretty much dominating the Eagles late September. They won 33-16. They seem to have the Eagles number. I wouldn't want to face the Eagles in the playoffs or the Bucks in the playoffs if I'm the Eagles.
Mm-hmm.
They did lose to the Chiefs by 6, but um, that was in overtime, and they could have gone for 2 for the win, but they chose not to. They just lost to the 49ers. But this team has been playing, like you said, well coached, overall, really good football, still in contention to secure a playoff seat. So their foot is not going to be off the gas. They it's really a must win for them
Yeah.
the rest of the way. They just had a really good win against the Chargers. It's another playoff team, 40-17. So I think Cowboys in this game are going to have to keep up on the scoreboard with them. I wouldn't have never have guessed this. The Bucks are 4th in passing in yards passing and 4th in yards rushing in the league.
So I was just looking. Yeah, I didn't realize Bucky Irvin's got like 850. And then the second was Rashad White. He's got 573, and they pretty much split carries.
Mhm.
Bucky's got 152, White's got 135. So it's one of those things, kind of like we were talking about earlier. We kind of want Dallas to have that type of, it seems like a lot of teams that don't have that premier guy are doing it. But even outside of Mike Evans, man, Kate Ottman has got 600 yards. That their running backs both catch out of the backfield. So it's an underrated team that have weapons.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're playing really good now. Won 4 in a row, coming off of losing 4 in a row. But I think only out of those 4 losses, only one of them was to a not solid team. They had Atlanta. Well, Atlanta was division, so you lose by 10 to Baltimore, you lose in OT to Kansas City, like you said, you lose by 3 to San Fran. So they could have very easily won a few of those games. And been one of those teams. So that just shows the talent, man. Do you think Dallas can keep up with that offense if it turns into a track meet? If you're what's do you hoping you run the ball, or are you gonna have to? You're hoping just letting Cooper sling it.
Well, I don't think they're going to hold back on Cooper either way. If you look at how we got a majority of our yards, there's like a lot of screen passes, whether it be to Turpin or CD. Um, in fact, I wanted to mention that. Did you see in the second quarter? I think it was CD got ran down by Jadeveon Clowney.
Oh, from the other side.
Yeah.
Yo, listen, Clowney, I get he's been in the league a long time. Dude, it's funny because I was watching it and you saw Clowney catch him. You're like, listen, CD's a small dude. I get, but Clowney's just massive.
Yeah.
He's so big. He takes one stride. It's probably 3 of CDs.
Mm-hmm.
So that's impressive.
You just see, even though we had a couple turnovers in our last game in the red zone. It's always like our defense sets the tone in every game when we're able to get the ball punched out or turn it over. We're just a completely different team, and we're hard to beat when we win the turnover battle. And I think that's why you're saying, Tampa just needs to take care of the ball. And if you just and if you just come down possession versus possession with no mistakes, they should come out on top, just because they have that veteran quarterback and the efficient offense on the passing and rushing side. It's really hard. It's really hard to game plan for a team that can both run the ball and pass the ball. Like, pick your poison.
Yeah, and it's when you look at, they do have that receiver that can just, at any point, just kind of just throw his hand up and just say, throw it up. And that what makes it more dangerous because you can't really crowd the box. And I think that's what helps. You kind of have to always have a safety over top, at least one for Evans. So it kind of helps that run game even more. If they just go tit for tat, Dallas doesn't have the guys, I think, to do that. But when you look at it from the other side, a lot of these games, if their offense can score,
mm-hmm.
They've been playing great defensively, even in some of these blowout losses recently, some of the big losses they had. They're playing very good defense in that first half. So to me, the key, man, is it starts with Micah. Micah has to make a difference now. You're coming up. There's an interview I guess going by. He's talking about how excited he was for that Eagles game, how he wants to, he doesn't want to see the Eagles win. He wants to murder these guys, which is a vast difference to what you've been hearing all year about how he's just all over him and loving on him. So now's your opportunity to go out. Micah's the one guy now for our team that hasn't gotten paid. I'm sure he's pretty upset about it. He wants to go out and just ball out these next couple of weeks. So to me, the key this week for us has to start with Micah Parsons, and he has to make a difference, especially with Diggs being down. And then I think the game plan, you got to look at last week. You got to look at the last few weeks, man. Go get Rico involved. Let him start running. That'll open things up for Cooper Rush. You don't have to force it to him. Like you said, all eyes are really on CD. Let Rico go eat and get Turpin the ball. Figure it out. Get him in he had a couple rushes last week. Get him some more rushes. Get him some of those screens. Get the ball in that kid's hands because he's fast. And they don't want to punt to him. They're okay not punting to him now. They know what he is. So, it's good to have him back there on kickoffs, but you got to get more ways to get the ball in his hands on offense. So I think, and that plays into what Dallas needs to do. If you want to keep it a low scoring game, you want to let your defense go get the ball and go get the takeaways like they've been doing in their victories. Let Micah go get a strip sack, let Bland go jump a route. That's what their defense and get Rico running. That's how Dallas has to win the rest of the season. They can't go score for score. They got to rely on that defense who's showing they can still play. And at this point, it's about pride. And you will hear it in the last few weeks. This is what a Zimmer defense is supposed to look like. So you want to keep seeing how these, guys that are coming in. I forget the kid's name last week, the linebacker that's a rookie who's filling in for, you want to see him start playing, see what he can do. Maybe he can be that guy to fill in. But at this point, it's just about, going out there, next guy up at this point, and just punching people in the mouth, doing what you can. I think that's how they have to, you're going to have to win that way the rest of the season because Cooper's not going to win you games.
Yeah, and we see Cooper seems to be a lot more. He doesn't like to hold on to the ball very long.
He does not.
So getting in those third and long, second and long situations, you got to stay. You got to stay out of that. And I'm thinking about here for Rico to be effective for us. Do you think he's going to end the game over or under 4 yards a carry?
Honestly, I think under.
Yeah, so I think he's going to have to be over 4 if we're going to be effective in moving the ball, getting first downs,
and just keeping that team off. Yeah, keeping their offense off the field.
I do feel like our playbook has opened up. It's forced Mike to be a lot more creative this year than last year. I mean, if you think of last year, it was just all slant patterns for the wide receivers. But yeah, like you said, Rico has to be effective. Parsons, it's kind of like what we said last time. Like we're gonna have to play him a lot more press coverage just so that Parsons has his chance to go out and get the ball. Odigizua, is he? I think it's a contract year for him. Is he a must keep? I wanted to ask you.
With the way Mozzie's playing, I think he has to be. I don't think you can't, unless you're going out and looking at somebody else for a trade. Like, I think he's played well enough to where you want to keep him because you don't have much behind him at this point.
Yeah, and he's been healthy, very effective in the pass, more so in the pass rush.
Very good in the pass rush, yes.
Than anything else. I think we're going to have to win the turnover battle by at least 2 to be within a score. I'm nervous that this could potentially end in a 2-score loss. If we're not efficient with the run, effective with the run, taking care of the ball. What was it? Back-to-back games now where Rush loses the ball on a fumble.
Yeah.
I mean, we gotta clean that up. But I do like what Mike McCarthy's doing, and I think at this point in the season, if I'm thinking of what percentage he is now to securing his job for next year,
I think it's close. I think it's over 50%. He stays.
Yeah, I was going to say at this point we're probably at 70% chance.
I feel like I kind of agree with you, and it bothers me so bad.
And what's frustrating is you just think of, and we did this last podcast, like going back into our schedule, like, man, if we were playing this good in September, we definitely shouldn't have lost that Saints game.
Oh no, that was the issue. Like, to me, I don't want to hear what he, that's the only argument I get annoyed at is like, oh, well, what if he had Dak for the whole season? Listen, he wasn't winning games when he had Dak.
No.
So he lost big games when he's had Dak. So I do agree with you. I feel like it's more likely than not he comes back, which I really bothers me. But there's not much you can do about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that being said, it could be a blessing in disguise that it's forced him, I think, given the way this year's gone and losing Dak, being more creative, and it's really challenged him in a way as a coach that he really hasn't had that.
But do you think he keeps it with Dak though? Like when Dak comes back, do you like, to me, you're not going to change what you do. He's not Andy Reid. He's not innovative. He's a very, he's been the same. He's who he is. He's not the innovative coach. That's why he was out of football for a while. That's why he really didn't have all that. That's why he hasn't won anything in Dallas. The offense, it's really coming. I don't think it changes with Dak. I think when Dak comes back, he's going to go back to what he does, that West Coast basic offense. And it's just either Dak's just can't. He's not that Dak's not the level of quarterback that's going to go get you stuff. I think you get rid of both of them, but I think you at least have to we know what Dak and McCarthy do. Maybe somebody else can bring something out of Dak that he hasn't had, especially now that he has to be a pocket quarterback and is not going to be mobile.
See, McCarthy's system is a wide receiver system, right? It's a passing system. I could name you the 3 wide receivers that were on his championship Green Bay team, but I can't tell you who his running back was.
Hold on. Was it 2010?
Either 2010 or 2009, something along those lines. Yeah, I see. But you could name the wide receivers, right? You got Nelson, you got Cobb.
Yeah, I'll think about it before the end of the show, and I'm not going to Google it.
Yeah. So ultimately, look, I think with that point, you need to prioritize, I think, the wide receiver 2, maybe even over the RB2, since Rico's, doing a lot better. But and I think as Cowboys fans, the sentiment is not that we need to bring in someone necessarily better. We're just ready for a change. Right? Because if you if you look at in the marketplace, you're like, okay, who's actually better than McCarthy? You can have your opinions, but that's not so much where we're sitting at now.
I get what you're saying there. So you're right. You're right on that case. By the way, their running backs were not that good. I think Ryan Grant, like that, was I think even the year that when he won the Super Bowl, he wasn't playing. But yeah, you're right. They're not going to find, but I want something I want either something innovative, somebody, a very young Sean McVay. I want a guy like early that, or give me a Dan Campbell type. Go get Vrabel. It's got. You're right. I'm time for a change. The McCarthy. It bothers me every week that we're always having issues with penalties. You're always having issues. There's always something going on. They're not a disciplined team. They haven't been, and that to me is coaching. And that's why you're right. And it is what it is. You have to. I don't know what you have to change. There has to be a change, and I don't think there's going to be.
I mean, when you think of a Campbell type of coach, former player, I can't think of anyone better than Ray Lewis.
Here's the thing, and they always say it: great players typically don't make the great coaches. Vrabel was not he was good. Dan Campbell wasn't great. Like a lot of your good, Kellen Moore, a lot of your great are backups, are second teamers, are guys that just love the game, or have that passion that are going to play through it. Usually, you're those type of guys.
Well, how about this? If you knew that Jerry Jones was going to keep Mike McCarthy, like you just knew it was already set in stone, would you be okay with like a Philadelphia scenario where you bring in an offensive coordinator that's going to do all the play calling, and he's going to be more of the cheerleader like Sirianni?
Here is my problem: is I really don't think the Eagles figured it. I don't know if they had it that way for a while. I think because you can see the distinct change in the Eagles offense. I think the head coach, I don't think McCarthy's going to give up play calling. You've already gotten rid of Kellen Moore because of Mike McCarthy. I don't think Mike McCarthy's going to allow it. That's why I think you have to get rid of him, because I don't think Mike McCarthy, he can't handle it. You're 2 seasons of a coach. You're not going to bring in your replacement when you're that kind of coach. He's a possible Hall of Fame coach. It's tough to bring in your replacement. I don't think you could. That's just my opinion. I don't.
But you would be okay with it
if you could, yeah. I would. If you're going to tell me 100%, he's my play caller. McCarthy's just a head coach. You're grooming that next guy. I would say yes. I don't think McCarthy would allow it though.
Okay.
So wrapping it up here, Aaron. After we're looking at it, diving in. What are your final score? What are you predicting this week? Where are you at? You're usually positive, so I'm kind of feeling some positivity from you. You sound a little negative in there, so I'm not sure, but I'm feeling you got to be a little positive here.
Man, this is tough. And why don't you go first? I want to see where you're at.
Where I'm at?
Yeah.
I'm going like I don't see Dallas getting more than 10. Because I don't think they're gonna I think it's gonna be a bad game because I see McCarthy going for it a lot. And it's been biting him in the butt. And I think it's going to hurt us more than it helps us this week. I don't see us stopping that Tampa Bay offense. I just think they're too high powered. I lied. I'm going to give Dallas more than 10. But I do think it's going to be like a 31-34. Tampa has one of those scores. I think Dallas probably gets 13. They may squeak out a touchdown late. I think he's going to be in a position where he's going to be forced to kick field goals. So I think that's why they're going to get a ton of field goals. I think maybe they score a late touchdown to make it respectable, get 2 touchdowns on the board. But I think probably 1 touchdown most of the game. I don't think it's going to be pretty. I think Tampa knows. Baker, the thing about Baker is no matter how he doesn't have to throw a lot of interceptions now, and he'll let it sling. So I really think I would bet the over on yards for both Baker and Mike Evans if I was a bet man this week.
I really want to go Cowboys, but because I'm thinking of the Bengals game and their high-powered offense, but the Bengals kind of bail you out a little bit because their rush defense is so poor. So you can keep up with them, and I don't think we're going to be able to do that.
And they also don't have a rushing game either. And the Bucks can go both ways.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised they didn't swap out this game for another Sunday Night Football game, but
Cowboys. It's going to draw eyes. Tampa's still a good team, and it's the Cowboys.
Yeah. Well, and yeah. So
I'll tell you what, I probably won't be finishing though. I'll probably be asleep before it's over. I'll tell you that. That's a late. These days I'm getting old. That's a late game for me these days, bud.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say. It's probably gonna be a low-scoring first half, but our defense, starts to lose their legs a little bit in the second half, and then Bucks kind of run away comfortably. So I'm gonna say Bucks 27, Cowboys 13.
Well, pretty close. Yeah, I kind of agree. It's going to be a tough week. You just got if you're the Cowboys. I think if you're the Cowboys, you're looking more. I get you want. I know you want to win every game, but if you're the Cowboys, you really have that last week of the season circled at this point. You're playing at 420. You're playing, next week, I guess. Next week's the Eagles game.
Yeah.
So you could really knock them down a notch, and you can really play damper on the Commanders too. So these next upcoming weeks are going to be big for them. And really at this point, you're playing for pride. You hope to see a little bit better this week. I want to see what Rico can do. Like you said, if you're Dallas, you want to be +2. I think you have to be +2. That keeps you in the game. And I agree with you. You have to be +2, and Rico has to be averaging over 4 carry, but he also has to get like 18 to 25. Like it's got to be up there for Dallas to have a chance. But neither one of us think we do. It's sad.
Look, I mean, in a lot of ways, these guys, the players have not. It looks like the players have not given up at McCarthy, but given up on McCarthy. But at the same time, we're forecasted to be so cap strong with if we pay Micah that everyone's kind of playing for their jobs. Like everyone is expendable at this point.
Oh, with all the injuries? Yeah, there's a lot like that's it did stink when Dak went down, you went out of it. But yes, now a lot of these dudes, who's locked in. There's a lot of backups playing right now that could become starters next year. A lot of those offensive linemen have opportunities now to really show up.
Yeah,
The middle linebackers got an opportunity now. You could take it by the horns and run with it. You hope Overshawn's okay and he can come back because he looked very good, but you don't know. So, you take it by the horns. Bland really showed up once Diggs got hurt. Bland had that big season.
exactly.
So you never know. So you're right. It's next man up. Go get your contract. You're playing right now to get paid. You're playing for a spot on the roster. And anything can happen. So you're right. It is about pride now. So you'd like to see a little bit more effort. Now you're right. It doesn't look like they quit. There's some when they're playing, they're in there. To me, I know I bashed Micah, but when I watched his face on against Cincinnati on that block punt, my
Yeah,
man still cares. My man still cares, and it's nice to see. And Jerry still wants to win. So you got to give it to the guy. Where other owners might have just said, hey, let's go with Lance, see what he's got, and lose some games. Jerry still wants to win for us. So kudos to Jerry. We don't see it happening this week. But it is what it is. It's tough. We kind of expect at this point, we know. But we want to thank everyone for checking us out again tonight, this week. It's a rough season. It is sad. It is depressing, but that's what we're here. We're fans short for fanatic. We love this team. We love the Cowboys. We love, we're going to be upset. We're going to say some things, but at the end of the day, we love them. We want to see them win. And it is sweet victory. Even without Dak, even down some starters, it still sucks to lose. No matter what it is, I still want to win. So if you're checking us out on the Cowboys Takeover podcast on YouTube, Ring the Bell Network on YouTube, Cowboys Takeover podcast on Facebook, on Twitter, wherever you guys are checking us out, we really appreciate you guys. Really thank you for following us, for being with us throughout this season. It's been as rough on you guys as it has been on us. So we really appreciate it. Hit that like, hit that follow, hit that subscribe. Let you know when we're going live. It's every Thursday. Y'all already know. 8:15. Y'all already know. So be here next week. Yeah, Christmas is Wednesday, so we're good. We should be good for Thursday, right? You're probably going to be good. Yeah, we'll be back next Thursday with the recap and the preview for the Commanders. We got the last 2 weeks of the season coming up. So it's winding down. It's been a fun one. It's been a long one this year as compared to last year. So it was a lot more fun last year, but we'll be back till the end, baby. You already know it. For another week. Till next week, go Cowboys. Let's play. Let's see what the kids are doing. Let's see what the backups are doing now. Play for your jobs. Play for pride. Play for that star in that helmet, baby. Go Cowboys. Let's go.